Now it's time for the question. Now that our brains are hurting a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, so my question to you is, so we've been talking about teenagers and kind of how they are. So my question to you is, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your teenage self, what would the one advice you would give yourself be?
Sure. The instinctive answer is wherever you are right now, it's perfect. Stop struggling, stop fighting, stop trying to get somewhere, stop trying to be something. Because it's kind of like that, the sadness. If you deny it, you never get a bearing. It's of no value. Sadness is just it's a mark on the map that says this is where I am. And so when we're always trying to be somewhere else, trying to be something else, right here where we are in this moment isn't good enough. No, it is good enough. Right here with however much knowledge or however little knowledge you have, however much experience or lack of experience you have, it's perfect. Where you are right now is exactly where you're meant to be. Where else could you be? And I hear myself saying this, and I put it through the filter of Doug as a father. And I realize that I'm not doing that as well. Because I'm sitting as a father going, well, what we should be doing, and you know what else we can do. And so, yeah, it's like, if you know that where you are right now is absolutely perfect, you can take full ownership of that. In that moment, you can take full ownership of that. You have a foundation and a platform to launch wherever the friggin' hell you want to go. Yeah. When you can't, when where you is not good enough, then you have no foundation, you have no platform, you have no launch pad to go wherever you want to go, because you're on like shifting ground, sinking sand, whatever it is. And so you're always playing catch up. You always, I think that would be the biggest thing. And I think when I kind of got my alignment in my world, and I'm not always aligned. Please do know that. I think I'm stating the obvious, hopefully. But it's when I could sit with myself and be okay. And know that there's nothing I need to do, no place I need to go. And right here is a really good place to be. So, and I think that if I look at the world, and this is not just the kids, but this is everyone, and this has been the challenge of this year, is people are really, really bad at sitting with themselves. Yeah. You know, it's we want to be distracted, we want to be entertained, you know, we want a crisis, we want something to be pissed off about, something, but we don't want to just sit. And I think that, you know, what I was saying to you about what I did yesterday was, what I realized was I'd lost connection to me, and my body was talking to me through extreme pain. Because guess what? I actually listened to that one. And when I took myself away and pretty much like turned off my phone, no one around, and went, whew, all right, let me just sit with me. Hey, Doug, what's going on? It's amazing how all the answers are there. But when you're looking for the answer or trying to overcome or trying to, they're not. They're never there. Because that's the stuff that causes the problem in the first place. You know, and the thing is, if you could know that just sitting with yourself and finding that level of comfort, then almost like you'd said, you asked the universe, in that moment that I can sit here, I literally can see everything. And I'm saying that as me, but so can you, and so can anybody else. But if you're here while thinking about this, and wondering what they think or they do, and I don't really care what they think or they do. What do you feel? You know, and if you go, well, I feel that what they think is really important, then we have work to do on that, on understanding why what they think is so important to you. We don't want to say it's wrong, because it's not wrong. It's what your system believes to be true right now. And maybe if we connected you more with yourself, you'd find that that truth is actually no longer valid.
Yeah, it just sounds that.
Cool. And that's such a big thing. It's that we also can't map out the answer for young people, because there are few assumptions there. We're assuming we even know what the answers are. We don't. You know, anyone who claims to know the answers is lying. They have no clue. They're going to sell you something. But it's like, so exactly the same as what we were saying before. It's the goal of the game is to do something, do your activations and know yourself better. Connect with yourself more, which means you know yourself better. And so when the world comes at you with challenges, and it doesn't have to be challenges, it can be reward and compliments and love, you know what to do with it, because you know what you feel, not what they think, not what the script is that someone else told you've got to do, but because you can feel what you want to do. And you can go, I feel really awkward. Excellent. So you feel awkward. Wonderful. What are you going to do with that? And the answer might be nothing. Or it might be, well, I want to overcome that. So I'm going to take a big breath and I'm going to do a ninja butt squeeze, and I'm going to squeeze the awkwardness out and push through. And all of those are options, but you have to acknowledge the awkwardness or the first.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a conversation with Beth, and because we go on walks, and I always find it's the best time to kind of talk when you're walking. And I just said, Bethany, you're so lucky that I wish I knew then at her age what I know now. Even though I know everything you go through makes you what you are.
Well, got you to this moment.
It got me to this moment. But I just said, Bethany, because I can now share this stuff with you now, you're going to learn it a lot earlier than I am, and than I did, which means you're going to get there so much quicker, you know, because she's still at a stage of not quite knowing what she wants to do, which I think she sometimes struggles with, because I always knew exactly what I wanted to do right from a young age. I knew I wanted to dance, and I knew I wanted to teach. You know, I even stopped. I got professional jobs to work abroad, to work on cruise ships, but I turned it down because I knew I wanted to teach. I knew this was my calling. Nice. So she's still kind of, no, I'm not quite sure. And she started playing the drums about 2 years ago. And she's amazing. But that's where I think she's finding her own herself. Cool. Yeah.
I think something that I've said to Matt, or used to say a lot, is, you know, if we would have conversations about belonging and fitting in, I would say something along the lines to him that, so do you want to be like everybody else? And he goes, sometimes that would be nice, Dad. I go, yeah. But if you want to be the same as everybody else, then don't expect to change the world. Because the people that change the world, the people who have influence, don't think like everybody else. So the sacrifice of ever wanting to do something significant in the world is you have to also be willing to not belong. And it's hard, because belonging is also a human need. And so it's you look at the crazy, mad people of the world that have changed direction of the way the world is and think. They never fitted. They never had a place of belonging, or very few, maybe a very tight clan, but that's the sacrifice. So if you want to belong to that group and have that identity, that's awesome. Then you can't have significance. Then you can't make a change. And so, I think that a lot of kids look at the world and they go, I don't like this world. I want to do something about it. Awesome. Stop thinking like everybody else. What do you think? I like, and it's amazing. And how often I talk to professionals and they can't give you an answer about what they think, but they can quote anybody else, and that's really nice. And that's, I kind of think it's kind of cute, but and that is meant to be derogatory. I don't really care who you can quote, because guess what? I can probably quote them too. But I only care about what you think. Now that you've got all these clever people giving you advice, what do you think? Yeah. And so that's wonderful that you are sharing and talking with your daughter, but she still has to go through it. She still has to overcome those things. Perhaps the information you've shared is going to help her get through it more easily. Yeah. But she's still going to have to go through those things, and that's cool. And it's horrible, and it's cool.
That's it.
So we can't, we actually can't save them from the world.
I know. That's the hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think actually it's silly, because as much as we don't want to look out there and see what other kids are doing, and we do, and it's not wrong and it's not right. What somebody else is doing, because and the thing is, like, for all those people, we all know this, and this is something that kids also need to understand. For all those people that you think are like they have the best life ever, they have, it looks like a perfect family, and they have money and they're influenced and they can do this and they can do that. That you've worked with enough people, I've worked with enough people, that when you get underneath, they're as screwed up as all of us. I stopped working in the billionaires club in America, and that was a good clientele and it was good business. And I chose not to, because they weren't happy. There was one out of 20 that was happy. The rest weren't. They just couldn't trust anyone, because maybe you just want my money. And and so it was an environment of, and for me, it was interesting, because it just helped me understand that money is not my driver. Like anything, you have to have enough to do what you want to do. But if someone said, wow, Doug, you can have $1 billion, I'd go, the dollar's not worth that much these days, I mean, that's what I shouldn't say, but that even though that is true. But I'd go, well, that's nice. What am I going to do with that? Because there's only so much I can do. So, but if that $1 billion was, okay, so we're going to create a place where we can feed and educate people. That's different, but it's not about money anymore. It's about feeding and educating. There's more kick to that and excitement to that. What's going to bring you joy? What's going to, no, that's not even right. Because what if they don't know what joy is? What's going to make you feel? Yeah. And not isolate and insulate yourself from the world, because, it is interesting watching kids communicate and interact with one another. And, you, on one side you say, oh, no, it looks like it did 20 odd years ago. Nah, no, it doesn't. It's different. And I think that, yeah, it's whenever I could find Doug, everything was okay. And when I couldn't was when I thought the answer was outside of me, and I was mad and I was crazy. And like one day I realized I was actually big and strong, because for a long time I didn't. I always pictured myself as little Doug. And so everything was driven from trying to prove. And then one day I realized I was big and strong and scary, and I could outdrink you, and I could I could hurt you. A lot of things that weren't always good. I would definitely drive faster than you. And all of that was in learning. And then you come up against stuff, and people go, well, why did Doug's hurt himself a lot? Yeah, because in learning about myself, I came up against stuff, and it wasn't always nice. And it's kind of, I think one of the things that we also have to do is stop denying our history. There's a lot of that. It's like when you see a lot of people who teach, they have a theme story. Oh, this is my, there's a name for it, but but this is my story, and everything runs around that. Yeah, that's an odd story, actually. We have 100 things, 100 times where we've messed up. And you know what? The question I'm interested in is, what did you learn when you messed up? Or did you mess up the same way 10 times? Oh, the 11th time didn't happen because you learned something. What did you learn? Which means I knew more about who I was. That's it. Yeah.
I think that's why it's so important to, as I've learned, to step outside of your comfort zone, isn't it? It's that is where you find yourself, isn't it? When you're doing something that's way out of your comfort zone.
But so think about this, and so, like, if we were to, because this obviously it's doing a Doug all over the place thing, but imagine that the central core theme, next time you're about to do something that's going to challenge you, that's well out of your comfort zone, and imagine just before you step out, you acknowledge to yourself that everything you are and everything you're already doing is perfect. And I've chosen to do this not because I'm looking, because I'm not perfect. This will make me better. No, you're already perfect. You don't need to be better. This is so I can experience more of who I am.
Yeah.
But if your base premise is inside here, where I am, right here, right now, perfect, it gives a different level of foundation. It changes the intention behind what we're doing and trying to achieve. Because often we're looking for those things because we also think there's an answer there that's going to make us better. Better than what? Better than you? No, there's only one of you, and you're already perfect because, well, there's nothing to compare you to because there's only one Sally.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And like I have this picture of imagine kids could learn to sit and take a breath. And in that moment, know that right here, perfect. There's nothing you need to do. Maybe you do need to study for maths, or yes. But to be loved, there's nothing you need to do because you're already loved, because apparently you're already perfect. Now we're going into philosophy. But if you were already perfect, then there's nothing to prove to anyone. And doesn't that give great freedom? Because then you can just go out and be and do stuff. But if you're going out to do stuff to prove something, that means someone in zone 3, which in our world is, when it's the kids, we're talking about all the other fools. But when we're in the adult world, and it's all the other fuckers. When I need a fucker to validate me, I'm powerless, because I hand over all my power and my identity to what they think I am. And they can quite easily say, dude, you're not perfect. You're an idiot. You're this, you're that. And now I've made myself smaller. Now I've made myself less. But if I knew in this moment that I'm already perfect, there's nothing I need to do. I don't need you to validate me, but it means that I can meet you where you're at, because what I bring, I don't need you to tell me I'm okay. And you don't need me to tell you that you're okay. But I see a world, I definitely feel like I should be standing on a soapbox right now in Hyde Park. I see a world of everyone looking around going, what do you think? Am I okay? Of course you're okay. You were born perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. I think watch this when it's up. It'll probably be, this part will probably be up tomorrow. Watch this with her. Ask her what she thinks. Ask her if she thinks that watching this, actually, Doug is really a dork. You know, he has no freaking clue what he's talking about, which is quite possible too. And she's welcome to her opinion. But I am already perfect. It was scripted that way.
Yeah,